Hello and welcome to my review of the Twig chapters taking route 1.5, 1.6 and 1.7. So 1.5 opens with Jamie trying to draw the faces of the boys that follow the lambs in the school. But although Jamie has a very good memory and has drawn Sylvester from memory almost perfectly after one of Sylvester's uh, sessions or appointments, as they were called in the story, he's unable to paint or draw the faces of these enemies, the boys that try to assassinate them and probably have a female team member. So Jamie has perfect memory, but no fantasy apparently. Here are these appointments mentioned, which seem to affect Sylvester negatively. He has headaches, and also older cases are mentioned, like the case of the bad seeds. This chapter is further set up. The school layout is described, that the school is a square, and that the girls' and boys' dorm rooms are separated. Sylvester and the gang is heading for the dining hall, where they sit down in a pre-arranged seating order, and they speculate that it would be very easy to get poisoned here because you know who sits where. To their surprise, they are all poisoned, or at least there's something in the food that doesn't go over well when people take it in. So here Sylvester meets Mary, or Miss Ribbons as they call her, and he has an interesting quote. "Some people are born to be the hero of the story," I said. "I was born to be the villain. I see the charming, good-looking, obnoxiously noble type of guy, and I feel compelled to start a battle I'm doomed to lose." So this sets further the tone. I think Sylvester is more like a red herring or face. After the gang sits a little bit and talks about how they want to further investigate the murders, they notice that people turn green and start to vomit, and that everyone was poisoned. Also, they think about who would be so callous to poison all school children in a school. Chapter 1.6 opens, and the gang decides to play sick to get into one of the washrooms, into the girls' washroom, to talk strategy. They speculate what the endgame of the puppeteer could be, and they decide that he's a rather cruel man or woman, decides that these children are just assets and not humans, and also that probably damaging the reputation of the academy is his main goal because he just poisoned all the kids. Helen distracts the teacher that comes after them to separate them. The boys are sent to their rooms and start to set a trap. So this trap doesn't work as Sylvester intends, because Ed and his boys come, and this trap isn't here to kill, as Sylvester says, but maim, hurt, so he could interrogate whoever comes after them. But they decide to not use the trap on Ed, because obviously they are just normal students. Instead, they allow Ed and the boys to take Sylvester to the basement, where Mary, sitting in a room with a gun, waits for Sylvester to in turn interrogate him. And Mary shows that she's not to be trifled with. In 1.7, Mary starts to interrogate Sylvester. Apparently, as far as Sylvester finds out, Mary is an assassin or a sleeper agent which is programmed to... Mary's purpose is probably to just kill him to tie up loose ends, and then go home and kill their parents, and then set the house on fire and destroy the evidence. So the evidence is her. But although Sai complies with all orders of Mary, he starts to play her from the get-go. He asks if he can sit down. He tells Mary about himself, but he just does that to incite or provoke a reaction of Mary. He tries to read Mary, but he can't. But I think Mary probably shows reactions, but just is not readable for Sylvester, because Sylvester does not seem to me like the kind of person in this group that reads expressions that well. Or maybe I'm mistaken and Mary's just stone cold. He deduces that Mary must be wet-grown and that she loves or likes her creator and wants to impress him. Just the opposite for him. So he strongly disliked Hale, Professor or Dr. Hale, while Mary apparently likes her creator. They talk about how Sylvester's group works and that they all have each other's back. Jamie has the perfect memory and is note-keeping. Helen and Gordon are more like the face and the muscle of the group, and he is, I don't know, the fall guy, the red herring, the investigator, the social engineer of the group. So this might be the reason why he's always able to lie and try to find out what kind of social contract is in play when they infiltrate a place like the school. This chapter also makes me think that Mary is socially isolated because she's the only creation or the only... Yes, she works with the boys that are part of her assassination group, but they don't support each other. So she has a single purpose and the boys have another single purpose. At last, Gordon rams through the door and Mary uses the chute to flee the scene. And Sylvester notes that Sylvester deliberately misses Mary. So I think this shows me that Mary will 100% join the gang. I don't know how and when they will meet again. Maybe the taking route is an indication that Mary will take root in their group and that Mary will become a new member of the Lambs. I have a hard time to interpret a lot this early. I took so long with this video because I didn't want to do an half-assed assessment, and I think these chapters, these interim chapters, are setting up some major reveals for this arc. So we will see how these informations pay off. I think the gang will have to fight the boys in some capacity and maybe even face the puppeteer and kill him, because as long as he lives, Mary isn't free to join the gang. So, I will see you in the next video. Let's see, maybe I will do just the rest of the regular chapters and then the interlude in a separate video. Good night.